Well, welcome everybody. Hope everyone is having a great week. Here we are towards the middle or just past the middle of October. It is a beautiful autumn day here in the greater New York City area. We hope the same for wherever you are. Again, if you are new to Sustainable Success, you found us here at the Voice America Influencers channel. And we encourage you to follow us also on Apple Podcast, and our Facebook page at Sustainable Success 2017. There, we've had many of our great guests over the years sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help move you and your businesses to the next level. Feel free to stop by and, comment and provide any information or feedback as to what you would like to see on future shows, as we're always looking and bringing on new guests, subject matter experts from all different angles of business, well-being, and in relationships to help move you and your brand and business to the next level. Today's show is being brought to you today by Empowered Fathers in Action. It's a 501c3 organization dedicated to bringing families together, creating more interdependent family structures free from limiting beliefs, and an opportunity for parents to be better examples and resources for their children to help them develop them into more self-confident adults as they grow up, as they will be the future leaders in their own homes, their communities, and of course, businesses. Check them out at efamovement.org. That's efamovement.org. Well, we have a great show for you planned today. We're going to be talking around the topic of money. And everybody loves money, right? Money makes the world go around. Money allows us the freedom to do many different things. So the title of today's show is Money 911. Catchy, right? Well, we're going to be talking about some good things about Money 911 and some of the things that you could do to allow money work for you. And we have Kris Miller with us. And before I introduce Kris, she, wants to live in a world where people celebrate their lives when they can retire and not skimp and worry if their money is going to last. She advised over 6,000 families over the last 30 years and has never lost a single penny of their money. As a legacy wealth strategist, she has been featured on hundreds of radio programs as well as TV appearances, published in hundreds of magazines and newspapers, print and online, and has spoken on stages across the country for top financial organizations like the U.S. Government Financial Officers Association and Citibank. Kris is the author of the #1 bestseller, Ready for Pre-Retirement. We're going to know what that means here during the show. Plan retirement early so your money is there when you need it. Kris is a money maestro. She's a certified senior advisor and legal document assistant, or LDA, amongst other professional designations. She's the owner of Trust Unlimited and the Living Trust Institute, and has been nominated for Woman of the Year and Best Customer Service by the Chamber of Commerce of Hemet, California. When she's not working with families and businesses on retirement and estate planning, she mentors teenagers on how to prepare for a thriving future, both financially and spiritually. And she loves cooking healthy and making it heavenly. Vegan coconut caramel nut cookie. God, I'm hungry already when she's not singing in a cappella choir. And this is amongst other things that she does as a studio writing award-winning singer for #1 songs like Be the Light and Did I Matter. And I'll let her get into that a little bit later around country and country gospel. But without further ado, we welcome Kris Miller to the show. Kris, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous, and it's an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Kris, it is such a pleasure. This topic is so important, especially, in, the times that we're in. We went through a very, difficult period as people, universally, over the last few years. And now we're going into, this uncertainty. Possibly, is there going to be a recession? There's inflation, all these things. So all these people are, for the most part, may have these concerns over how long can they stretch their money. People are at different stages of their life and, just looking for answers. Let's just talk a little bit about money in general. And from your perspective and all the years that you've spent helping people to really stretch their money and use it in ways they could create a life, just talk a little bit about, the concepts of money, if you can, to set the stage and some of the things that we can be doing to really put money to work for us and to live the lives that we aspire to do.
That's a great question. And you know what I found in 3 decades is people they don't know about money and they get disempowered, and there's no judgment because you go to school, you learn how to make money, you get out of school, what do? You go make money, and you usually give it to somebody else to gamble. And it is, and I didn't really see this till it's like a pattern, seeing so many people come into my office to start their living trust and their retirement plan, and they would come in at 50, 60, and 70. Now, there's no judgment. It's not anybody's fault. Nobody's taught about healthy money, about safe money, and balanced planning. So what I saw was a lot of people will lose their money at the end of their life, either in a nursing home or probate, not having the right paperwork, or the Great Recession, right? And because of that, I got, inspired to write my #1 best-selling book, Ready for Pre-Retirement, because I saw the lack there, the education. So I've really been on the, teaching people about safe money, and that there are places that you can set yourself up with an income that's tax-free. That's right, tax-free for life. Nobody knows about this. And honestly, I'll be, I didn't find out till I was 58. Okay. And it was like, no, I wanted to, if you knew about it, right, and you're younger. But I did it. I did it a few years later. It takes more money, but there are ways to set yourself up for success. So there's a little learning curve there, right? And I found those three things, no matter if I had my, $44 million client or the guy that lives paycheck to paycheck, there are three things that people miss in their plan. And that's what I focus on when I do financial fitness strategy sessions with them.
Well, let's talk about that. And I of course, we'd love to hear about the tax-free.
Yeah.
We can get into that. But let's talk about those three principles that you're talking about. I think those would be really great to kind of set the stage for the listeners that are listening now, that'll be joining us, and those that'll be listening later here on demand this afternoon.
Right. Well, just to, give you the full picture, when I started, I was a paralegal working with an attorney, and we were doing living trusts, and we had this senior woman, and she had a car and a house and no money. And this is 1991 or 2. And the attorney wanted to charge her $5,000 for a living trust. And I just looked at him, and, when she was out of the room, and I said, hey, could you give her a deal? And he looked at me like, what? He backed off, and I backed off. I left. And that's what started my business, because I wanted to create affordable living trusts for people. And back then, I broke the market. And I'm not bragging, but I was one of the first people in Southern California to do workshops on what's the difference between a living trust and a will. Right? It sure seemed simple, but living trusts have been around since the Middle Ages, but only the wealthy people knew about them. And this paperwork is not just the end of the life paperwork. It's paperwork that you need now in this crazy world with pandemics and powers of attorney for financial and healthcare. And how about this? What if mom and dad go out to dinner and don't come back? Who's going to take care of the kids? When you're 30, it's hard to imagine what it's like when you're 40. When you're 40, you can't even imagine what it's like when you're 60, right? And on to 100. Each age has its own set of things that you need to do, and it's different. And so that was what opened the package, what I started as a paralegal. And it really shook the world. Because as a paralegal, we were working under an attorney, and because there were so many paralegals that were becoming independent, they made a designation called LDA. So I'm a legal document assistant, which basically means that, the state bar and the state gets more money in errors and omission insurance and fees and all that, right? They made another designation. But as a result of this, then the people started coming in when I'm doing their living trust, and I'm looking at these portfolios, right? And it was right at the end of the 1900s, and the crash, 1997, and people, they come in almost crying. They lost 40-60% of their pensions, and they're 70, 80. They can't go back, make that money up. It's hit my heart. And it happened to me because I was just doing everything that everybody. I had money in Vanguard, I had money here and all. And then I lost money and like, what the heck? I'm the planner. I'm supposed to. So what it did was I backed off for a year. I really did. I prayed about it. I felt so responsible for people's estates. I didn't want to do anything wrong. I mean, working your whole life and then someone blows gambles your pension or your 401k and it's gone. And then I lost money and that pushed me into research. And I found out about safe money. They were not teaching me about safe money. Look, Christopher, I'd make more money selling you a stock. I make money when I sell the stock. I make money when I hold the stock, right? I make money when I do nothing. But I don't have integrity. I can't look at you and say, hey, you need to buy this stock, but I don't want it, right? I couldn't do that. So I had to own what I sell. And I got out on the market. And I got into some programs that to this date, I can proudly say no one on my watch has ever lost one dime in any market risk. So that's the safe money. And that's a whole package that we can unpack. And the third one, that's the hard one, is a catastrophic illness. Now, we all learned about that recently, right, with the pandemic. And unfortunately, my family was the nightmare in my business. Because my mommy came up to me one time and, she had this paper in her hand and she's saying, honey, and I looked at her and she had these big tears in her eyes. I go, what's wrong, Mom? And she goes, maybe you could share this with your clients. I got to really hold it together because it still makes me want to cry. Honestly, I looked at this paper and it was a bill from Stanford Hospital for 5 days of chemo. Guess how much it was?
Oh my God, chemo.
5 days. 5 days.
5 days. I'm going to say $50,000. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you're almost there. It was $90,000. 5 days.
Oh my God.
She had 5 days every month. Okay. $1 million is not a lot of money. If you think you're going to self-insure your health because you have a few $1,000,000, you're fooled. Now, I was blessed because my daddy was a genius. He went to Caltech. He even studied underneath Einstein. And, in his era, he was born in 1919, the stock market was a different beast. It really was helping people. He did very well with it. And he had multi-million dollars. He did well. And one day he came up to me and said, honey, you're going to inherit $1 million. And I said, Dad, I just want you. And I really never planned on his money. And a few years later, he came up to me and said, honey, you might get something. And luckily, I didn't plan on it. But my mommy had cancer for 10 years. So we're just talking about chemo, drugs, doctors, all the things that you can't imagine. What a nightmare it was for this episode. Because she really wanted to live. She was not going to die. The doctor says, you got a year to live. She was like, mm-mm. And she went 10. And she fought it. She really, and prayers, of course. But it was a fight. And they went, and thank God they had the money. And they went through pretty much all of it to take care of my mom. And I'm sure glad they had it. And then my dad's plan was, right, he was going to die first, and then Mom. And then he had it all figured out because he was an atomic scientist. But it didn't work out that way. She passed before him. And he was working till 91, age 91. He was
Wow.
still right? He was a genius, and he was really, really an amazing man. And the only reason he stopped working was he fell and broke his femur bone, went to the hospital, never been sick in his life, and got pneumonia. Same story, though. The doctor comes up and says, you better make your plans. Your dad's only going to be around a few more days. And I looked at him and went, you're not God. No. And he went another 6 years. But then we had to hire caregivers, right? And long-term care, catastrophic illness. This is what I saw that just breaks my heart, Kris, is that people end up losing their money at the end of their life. You work all this life, either in probate, nursing homes, or the stock market. And it's not a guess. We are in a recession. I think it could go to the big D. This is not like 2008. And that's what's fooling people. And I just be straight. You can't trust what you're hearing on the news. It's all manipulated. It's all
Yeah.
driving the narrative of big corporations and big money that all have their own agendas. It's not real news. You have to dig in deep. You have to take, an hour off on your Sunday and learn about safe money. Learn about places that you can protect your assets. And right now, this is the time. What I'm learning and seeing in the money world, offline, right off the, in the trenches, is they expect another 25-30% this year of a drop. So it's not, we're not done yet. And with all the volatility of the war and the this and the food shortages and all la la, you gotta take time now. I'm like, and that's why I changed my show. I had a syndicated radio show, but I changed my show now to a podcast called Money 911 because it used to be called Ready, Set, Retire. I don't think we can do just kick back anymore and wait till we retire. We got to
Yeah.
do a 911 planning, right?
Yeah. You got to, like you said, there could be a crisis, like you said, at any given time. And obviously we experienced that here, in the last couple of years, and now heading into this, recession.
So what people need to do, and you would be shocked what I do when I hop on the phone with people all over the country and do a financial fitness strategy session. And I ask you your age, your health, your wealth, your goals. Do you have kids? All your dreams. And you'll find, I found after looking over 6,000 portfolios that the majority of the people have about 90% of their money in risk, right? All in their 401k. And I can't quote the numbers, but it's a shocking amount of trillions of dollars that have been lost already in pensions and 401ks. And people are scared. They don't want to look. They're not going to even look at their statement because of knowing how much has been lost. But I'm encouraging people that, right, stand tall, right? It's money's just energy. And when you learn how to manage that energy, you're not bound by the fear of it or all the interpretations of it, and you can make better decisions. And you need to have a good part of your money in safe money right now because this is going to be a long haul. This isn't like 2008. They're going to flood them with, more cash. This is a different scenario.
Yeah, they're not going to just be printing money, right?
That's it. That's it. And the powers that be are trying to create a new currency and get rid of the dollar. If you've noticed, right? Even on the mainstream, you can see the glimpses of that. They've already created a Fed coin, and they're going to try to install that. That's where it's headed. That's where they're trying to head it. So how are you going to mitigate through the storm? And there is a peaceful, clear way to travel through it as all the bombs are going off. You can make it through it when you learn these strategies. And it does depend on the age and the health and the wealth. That's why it isn't like a one size fits all.
No, this is very interesting. And when we come back after the break, I'd like to get in and hear from you on the safe money techniques and strategies in, things around, no tax, that type of thing. We got about 40 seconds to the break. Kris, what would you, just to kind of summarize or add to what you've shared so far, to really, really drive the points that you talked about here in the first segment?
Well, people spend their whole life making money, but it's just like planting a seed. And if you have gophers, you could have the best plant and you plant it, the gophers are going to eat it up and it'll die. So you have to pay attention to where you're planting your money. If you plant it in the Wall Street casino, then it's like a roulette wheel. Will it be up or down when you retire? And that's what I've seen, right? The first 10 years of my practice was great. Then the market hit, boom, it was down for the next 10 years and it went back up, right? It's a roulette wheel. Get out of the roller coaster.
Get out of the roller coaster. Right. I agree. Well, we have to go to break, but I know you got more to share when it comes to now the safeguards, safe money that you talked about. We're going to be covering that, and I'm so looking forward to it. again, if you're just tuning in, this is a show that you're gonna be looking to listen to again. It'll be available later here on demand. We got to go to break, everybody. When we come right back, you're going to learn how we can use this safe money to work for you, especially going through some of these uncertainty that we're experiencing here globally as people. We'll be right back after the break.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of...
Well, welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us here, we are with Kris Miller. She specializes in the area of wealth management, and she's a wealth strategist, amongst other things, with living wills in a lot of different areas. You're going to get to know her even better as we are going to the second segment of the show. And we're talking about money and how we can better use money. Money 911 is the title of the show. So, Kris, you had talked a little bit about some of the three areas that we know about how we could start to look at money. And I like to look at, like, how can we keep our money safe? You're going to discuss some principles there. If you could share some insights, especially now in these uncertain times that we are experiencing.
Absolutely. Well, my favorite things all are what I call safe money. And they're the one I really start off with is called investable life insurance and index universal life. So it's a proprietary, the way that we set it up. Simply put, they blow the death benefit up so that you can use it while you are alive, which it was the coolest thing. And like I told you in the first segment, I didn't find out till I was 58, because if you know this thing and how this works, you don't really even have to have a whole lot of money to do it. If you're younger, this is a way that's going to empower young people to create wealth, because the money's there. You just need to know how to channel it in the right places and to put it in a place that's going to be safe. So the way that this works is, and I'll just use I had a kid, I say kid, he was 38, and he was putting, just say, $500 in a month. And for his retirement, and this was several years ago, he was set to get $80,000 to $100,000 tax-free for life. That's right, with $500 a month. Now, this is a kind of a plan where it has a floor. You never lose your principal. So with the markets going up and down, it really doesn't matter because your principal's there. So you only catch the upside. And these products, the companies are like old 100, 150-year-old insurance companies. So they buy 20, 30-year options. They plan really long term. They got the billions of dollars to do this. So they basically give us the cream off the top. And they're going to perform, the last 30 years, they probably perform between 9 and 11%. And that's just how, and it's tax-free. So imagine you're getting $100,000 tax-free, and maybe you're in the 40, 50% tax bracket. That $100,000 not having tax is worth way more. But wait, there's more. So this money comes out tax-free, right? For life. So if you lived 120, they got to keep paying you. Then it has catastrophic illness protection, because before the pandemic, 7 out of 10 of us needed a nursing home. Now, I don't know, it might be 9 out of 10 with everything that everybody's going through. I don't know. The point is, you got to have that kind of protection, because if something does happen to you, you end up spending out of your pocket. Medicare doesn't cover long-term care. By the way, did you know that? It doesn't cover long-term care. And we'll be lucky if as they downsize it, there'll be much left in there by the time that people really retire. So you got to be your own government. You've got to make your own way. You can't wait for somebody else to do it for you. So these kind of programs are really amazing. And people say that have 401ks or IRAs or qualified money, they can literally fund these policies, say, over 5 to 10 years, so they're tax-free, and they can pay the taxes with the death benefit, so they don't have any out-of-pocket cost. So then that literally lowers their tax burden, and then that money now will grow tax free and can be used for tax free income, catastrophic illness, and builds cash. I have a lot of real estate agents that use these to build the cash to take the money out, and they take a loan from their money at 4%, flip a house, buy a house, or live in a house, whatever they want to do, and pay the loan back, and then all that all the money thing will stay there, their tax-free income. Those are fabulous. Now, the only thing about that is you got to have health. It's health driven. So the insurance company is gambling that you're not going to die, because if you're going to die, they got to pay a lot of money, right? But it switches the energy around, switches the power seat around, because where people are now gambling in stocks, they're gambling that these companies are going to live, right? And if they don't live, they lose their money. But now it's with these investable life insurance, now the company's gambling that you're going to live. So health is involved. It is underwritten. That's the tax-free scenario. That's the best way to go. And you can literally customize your retirement. You don't have to wait till you're 67 or whatever your age is. If you know how to set this up, you could actually start, with so much and then increase it as you get older and target retirement at 50 if you want to. So there's some very creative planning that I do with people when I do financial fitness strategy sessions. And it's a lot of fun, actually. See people's eyes just bulge out. You're kidding me. And there's a little bit of it like, why didn't I hear about this? And that's why I'm broadcasting. And then the other thing, say you don't have health, and no harm in that. That's just what's happening. You don't have health. There are what I use as equity index annuities. So these have been around since the Middle Ages, and not one person ever lost $1 in an annuity in the Great Depression. Babe Ruth had an annuity. It's a famous story. And, he had some stocks too. He lost the money in there, but his annuity was just fine. And, I only work with A companies, or A plus companies. That means every $100 you have with them, they have 125 to 135 in reserve. They have a better standing than United States, honestly, with their financials. It's crazy. And, I say this jokingly, but at this time, I believe it. I think insurance companies will be the last to go before Jesus comes. and I say that jokingly because, look what's going on with the debt, the trillions of dollars of debt. What is it, 30, 40? I can't even keep track of it. The debt that we're in, right? And so our rating is really way lower than what we're even being told. So these companies are almost like nations within themselves. So it gives me a feeling of security, of knowing at least my money is safe and I won't lose it in the roller coaster ride of the stock market. Also covers for catastrophic illness, which basically we all have to have the protection for. And who doesn't want a paycheck in their mailbox every month, right? That's the goal of that. And that's the safe money. And it's customized to your age and your health and your wealth and your growth. There are some that are just accumulation. The accumulation right now, the numbers, these things stay up with inflation. So before inflation, Kris, it was 5 to 9%, and now they're showing me numbers of 9 to 13%. So they're staying with inflation. And an annuity is like a savings account with an insurance company. Now, there's a lot of them out there. They're not all good. There's a lot of bad ones, like everything, right? That's why I've spent decades refining. And honestly, I own what I sell, period. I don't do anything else. I'm not gambling in the stock market. I own what I sell. And I'm proud of that because it's worked. I've done it for 30 years. I didn't know what I was doing. And it's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I've done it for so long and I've seen the patterns, and that the patterns are, right? So the annuity, the safe money annuity, is like a savings account with the insurance company. It's got a floor on it. So you catch, just like the IUL, you catch the upside. And then if the market goes up 2%, you get 2%. If the market goes down 2%, nothing happens. Zero becomes hero. And these are set up, there's two kinds. There's accumulation, where you can just stockpile your money and take out 10% every year if you need it with no penalties. So it gives you liquidity. And that's a lot of liquidity. Because if you take out 10% of your money, it's gone in 10 or 12 years. So that's a lot of liquidity. And you have to think long term. You can't just think of, oh, we're in a recession. You got to think of the long haul and look at what's happening. Really step back from the emotion of it, because money is emotional. I spend more time coaching people on the emotions of money than I do writing applications. There's a lot of mindset around it. And you got to step back to learn about the safe money. So again, the annuity is the equity index annuity, gets the growth of the market without risking your principal. And there's two flavors. One is just accumulation and one is income. And you can set up whichever one works the best for you. And that's what I do when I hop on the phone with people. I don't charge for that either. I think I'm crazy. I hop on the phone with people and do a financial fitness strategy session, see if I can help them. And if I can't, then I just say, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And make it really simple for people, because it is not a one-size-fit-all.
No,
right?
Absolutely. And what I like what you said, Kris, is that, a lot of times insurance has this stigma attached to it. Like, oh,
yeah.
It's just there if you die, it's expensive. Why have a whole life policy when you can get a term? It's less on premium. They don't see it as a way to build wealth. They're not seeing it as a way that this becomes your own personal bank, not the other way around, because insurance companies are not going out there and explaining it that way. They know they have to play it, in this case, play it safe from their end, that just say, hey, it does this, this, and this. But people like you that are well strategists to say, listen, this is a golden opportunity. This is how the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these big families that have made billions and billions of dollars. That's how they started to make their money, not just in the industries they serve, but through life insurance or insurance in general.
Exactly. And because, they understand how it works. So that's why, a lot of my topics are the secrets of the 1%, because you make all this money, where are you going to put it? And then, so they know, and they're using the hybrid. So whole life was great. Then they came up with index universal life, which is a hybrid, and it includes long-term care and catastrophic illness, has a lot more bells and whistles, but they're both safe products. So, don't feel bad if you do have a whole life, but they keep, of course they come out with hybrids. And honestly, it's a lot more work being an agent doing this than just selling a stock. When I do with my clients, most people just sell it and they're gone. And, how many of your brokers are calling you saying, hey, you need to, the market's crashing now. Most of my clients never have a broker that tells them they sell them something and they're gone. I hate that. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a widow. I'd like someone to talk to, and a lot of people are alone. And so what I do with my clients, I give them lifetime consultation. And I check in on them every year and make sure they're okay. Because there's very little management to do inside of an annuity or in the index universal life. There are indexes inside of these things that are catching the growth of the market. And then we reallocate them every 1 or 2 years or more, basically. And that's how we keep up with what's going on with the world. But the beautiful thing is that no one knows about it, so it's a big surprise that you can learn about and add to your portfolio. And I'm called a legacy wealth strategist because I'm trying to show people how to live their legacy now. It's not that you're going to die and leave something. Well, that's going to happen. But while you're living, live your legacy and do all your dreams and live without that fear that you're going to run out of money. What is it? 69%. AARP did that survey. 69% people are more afraid about dying, about running out of money than death. Right? More afraid about running out of money than death. That's crazy to live like that. Or you don't want to look at your portfolio or watch the news because you got to watch everything you're working for go bye-bye. So how about having some safe money that you know is going to be there? Because this place is rocking. It's just beginning. I'm an optimist, but I read the handwriting on the wall. And this has been talked about a long time, the times we're in now. This is not, surprise. No, it's been talked about for centuries in many kinds of religions, really, honestly. And we're there. I think we're there. So you need to take time out of your life to learn this, or, check with me on a financial fitness strategy, or read my book, or read other books, and empower yourself around having safe money. And it will give you peace of mind.
With insurance, I mean, I love what you're explaining here, because I think right now you people are hearing this that maybe have not heard this, and it's just, it's showing how insurance can work for you, not when you pass on, and and then that money is then goes to your extended family or your immediate family. This is where, again, that you could be using this money now to create wealth, and to have that money working for you to purchase other assets that
Right.
could put more money, real estate, whatever that may be.
Exactly. And the only thing that people know about life insurance, and then you get all these pushy life agents about term. So, when people are working for companies, the company gives them term. And then right before they retire, it it loses its value. So they've put all that money in a term policy, and then when they get in their 60s, the whole thing disappears. And then they got to find something else. I worked with a lot of federal employees. It's a nightmare how they're set up. It's like you got all these benefits, but by the time they retire, they end up losing those benefits. It's nuts. So the idea is that you be your own bank, right? You be your own government. You take the power, and is more to life than term. Right. Term was just what the general population was taught about, which basically turned most people off because of the pushy insurance agent kind of energy, right?
They make their commission, I mean,
Right.
they're going to make commission on the whole life, but nonetheless, that money is going to get recouped back, in earning money, in a short, maybe a year or two, you'll start seeing those gains.
Right.
We got to go to break, but I'd love to keep expanding this. And I know you got more to share when we come back. So everybody, we're talking with Kris Miller. We're talking Money 911. Again, we highly encourage you, if you're just joining us, that you can listen to the show entirely later today. And we'll be right back after the break.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of...
Well, welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Money 911, all different ways that we can now put our money to work for us, and the safe money with the use of life insurance. Yes, life insurance. So something that is not new, been around for a long time, but still a lot of people don't get it. Well, Kris Miller is here to clear all that up, which he has been sharing here. So we highly encourage you to listen to this show in its entirety later today, and there is more to come. Our show is being brought to you today by Empowered Fathers in Action at efamovement.org. And we highly encourage all dads that are looking to step up in their roles as dads, fathers, as husbands, as partners, whatever that case may be. Take the Empowered Dads Challenge. Go to efamovement.org /man-cave and take that challenge. It's good until, I believe, the middle of December, and opportunities to win an award and gain some recognition, and a way to really step up. Check them out at efamovement.org. So, Kris, you had shared so many great insights about, safeguarding our money, and how that you could put that money to use and build wealth for, even generations to come if you have a plan. I know you're going to be talking about that a little bit more in depth, that, a living trust. Can you get into a little bit of that for the listeners and those that will be listening later?
Absolutely. So the living trusts, they've been around since the Middle Ages, and it's one of the secrets of the 1%, right? Most people, it shocked me when I learned about it 32 years ago, that they'd been around that long and nobody knew about them. Everybody thought you have a will and you're going to die and that, da, 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 and that, right? But nobody knew about the living trust except the politicians or the wealthy. And that really got me going because I'm an educator. And it was like, people need to know about this. So I started doing the workshops on the living trust. And basically, what's the difference between a will and a living trust? Well, the living trust is a legal document that's created to own and manage your estate while you are alive. It's not just an end of the life document. It has all kinds of very cool provisions in it. And we have a trust package that includes a living trust, but there are other documents that you need to have while you are alive. So the living trust wraps your estate up. So it goes directly from you to your family without any middleman. That's right. No probate, no courts, no attorneys. You don't even need me. We set you up to be self-sufficient. And this is another thing that gives people peace of mind, knowing that you don't have to lose 5 to 25% of everything that you have, give it to an attorney to give what you have to your family. You just give it right to your family directly. So it's a very amazing document. And the way they work is they set up a successor trustee. So if something happens to you, or if you're married and the other spouse and they both are, in control, but when you both go, then they have a successor trustee, and everything is set up just like a will, like who your beneficiaries are. If something happens to that person, where will it go? But that document, because of the language, will completely stay out of probate. And probate's courts. Courts take attorneys, and what do attorneys take? Money. Usually 5 to 25%. But if you get into if you have a ugly, mad sibling, they could go into court, right? And people want to fight over things. They can take up to 2/3 of the estate. And as I said, I've done over 6,000 living trusts. I'll tell you, I could write a book about a lot of stories, what happens. So that's a document you need now. You don't wait till the end of your life. You do it now. And that document includes, here's one that really gets me, and I was like this too. When you're young, you just never think you're going to die. And so when you're, 30, and you go out to dinner, you don't think about what if we don't come back and who's going to take care of the kids. And you may have a specific way that you want your kids brought up. And you don't want this and you don't want that. Well, do you have it spelled out? Do you have someone that you trust that could be there to take care of a guardianship for minor children? That's part of the trust. And that's so important. It's not, people think of trusts, they don't really know about them, most people, but they think of it as an older person kind of a thing. It's all ages. Now, a good trust package will include the living trust, which is the document that avoids probate and conservatorship, and it'll include a power of attorney for financial. So if you become incapacitated, you can have somebody take care of your bills or all of those things for you. Go skiing or whatever happens, you can have someone to be able to manage the business. Healthcare. How don't we know? That's really important. Personally, I want my own family to make my medical decisions than I do a doctor or an insurance company or the hospital. I want my own health care, and I'm radical, right? I'm into alternative medicine, right? So there's certain things I want and don't want. So that healthcare power of attorney is really important, and you give it to your doctor ahead of time. You do all this ahead of time. You let the bank know who has your power of attorney ahead of time. They sign the signature card. So if something happens, you're safe, right? And then there's a pour-over will. It's kind of like a catch-all. It's not the will that goes to court. It's a will that covers all your jewelry, furnishings, automobiles, and it includes it in the trust. Then there's a living will. And living wills are documents that authorize the termination of any artificial life support in the event of a terminal illness if 2 doctors say that's it. I'd probably take 4 doctors. Both my parents, as I said at the beginning of the show, they told my mom, she only had a year, she went 10. And they told my daddy he only had, a couple days, and he went 6 years. So, just say, prayers work. but you get to be in charge of your own health care. So those are really important. You should have those now. You should have those even if you don't have any money. They're very important documents to have. And then there's, so this package where you can put special instructions and all your assets go in the name of the trust. And that avoids probate, conservatorship, guardianship. Conservatorship, if you become incapacitated, you don't have this set up, guess what? The government comes in and appoints you somebody, right? Maybe it's your next of kin that you don't like. And they're going to appoint somebody, or it might be a government official to decide what they're going to do with you. Not very comforting to me. So I like to have all of that set up. I set mine up in my 40s, and a lot of people think, well, they're going to die if they set it up. There's a lot of chutzpah, weird conspiracy things in their brains about, no, it empowers you. It gives you peace of mind to have all that's done. You don't have to think about it. Then as you make that tax-free money, your accounts are going to be in the name of the trust. Right? All your assets, and you can begin to build your estate and create safe money for yourself, and then use that to, like you were saying, real estate. But I'm really in the safe money side. I say 911, you need to have 6-month rainy day money. That's what they used to say. Kris, I think it's more like a year now. Be prepared.
I agree. I agree, especially now, and with the way things cost. Because it's not even easy nowadays to even get a job like it. There's a lot of the process to hire someone could take a lot longer because of all the due diligence.
Exactly. So I live in California, so we're in the earthquake and the fires and and some people are in the hurricanes and the tornadoes. So we all have these 911 situations. I have a goat bag, right? A little bag with my flashlight, it's like evacuate bag, with all those kinds of things in it that you need to have. You need that around your money, 911. You need to have your rainy day money, a year at least, stashed aside, that it's not invested, it's accessible to you. Maybe you have it in a safe, even in your own home. Banks are the first to go, mind you, when the things start to tumble, just saying. Those get really shaky. Now, local banks are a little more secure, in your own city, or the local banks are good. And have a little bit of silver, a little bit of bartering. It could get kind of gnarly. It can go, there's a lot of different scenarios that could play out. But I'll tell you what, it sure won't hurt you to have all of those things set up for the Money 911.
Wow. There's some valuable things here, everybody. Again, considering safe money, with insurance, living trust, this process, you have someone you can refer to here, someone that's been doing it a long time. And again, not just, there to help you set it up, but to go over and explain it to you and how this applies to your personal life. And it doesn't matter if you're already super successful or somewhere in between. This is, again, things that anybody can tap into. Right, Kris? Would that be correct?
It's totally correct. Look, I had a client, he had $44 million, and all of his estate was in real estate. He had all these developments and everything. Guess what? When I met him, he did not have a living trust, right? And he was older, and he didn't have any of that set up. And the amount of cash proportionally to what he had available that he could get at in the bank was very small compared to all the $44 million he had.
It was wrapped up in the actual the real estate that was yet liquid. Yeah, no,
it made sense. Exactly. So he didn't have all of that set up. So it mattered whether you're very successful or you're just starting out. All of these programs be connected to you for where you're at, not right.
Wow, exactly. This is really great stuff. We're getting near the end of the show, and, we got a couple minutes left till the end. You have shared so much great information, and I wanted to thank you for being here, taking the time to really enlighten us in this particular area. And I know that listeners are going to want to get to know who you are and more about this particular topic. Can you let the listeners know what is the best way they can get in contact with you? Anything you'd like to leave them or provide?
Thank you, Kris. This has been a fabulous honor to be on your show and be able to share, because that's my joy. I have so much to share. So thank you so much. So to get in touch with me, if you want to hop on the phone, have what I call a financial fitness strategy session to get your assets in shape, right? You can go to meetwithkrismiller.com, and that's Kris Miller.com. You can actually call our office. We have 951-926-4158. You can email me directly at Kris, Kris, at healthymoneyhappylife.com. And that's also the website, healthymoneyhappylife.com. There's a free gift for everybody today. If you go to yourlegacyshift.com, there's a little download, what's a little next chapter checklist, a little things that can help you kind of organize those things.
Yeah.
So, I encourage you to call me or reach out, hop on my calendar. I just gave you meetwithkrismiller.com, and that'll get you right on my calendar, and we'll take 15 minutes and I'll see if I can help you.
Kris, thank you so much. And we highly encourage everybody to take advantage of Kris's generous offer here and get to reach out to her. I'm sure there's some additional information she could share specific to your situation. Again, listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Sustainable Success Way. Again, we are committed each and every week in bringing subject matter experts like Kris to come in to share their insights. They're taking the time out of their busy schedules to come provide this valuable advice. And this advice is fantastic information. The only difference right now is, what do you do with it? And now, or, take action with it. So reach out and reach out to Kris and take action. So we highly encourage those that got some great value today, reach out to Kris. And then, again, we're going to be back next week with another subject matter expert sharing their words of insights to help move your business and personal success to the next level. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.
All right. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.